Have you ever really liked a character that everyone else seems to either ignore or outright hate for some reason? Well, if you're like me and you're a fan of Ichika Hoshino, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Ichika Hoshino is a character from the game Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage, which is also known as Project Sekai. She's the lead singer and guitarist for the band Leonid, as well as the lead character for the group's story. It's not hard to tell that Leonid in general is pretty overlooked. Other groups in the game are far more popular, and because of that, Ichika is kind of ignored or disliked, and people find her character boring and uninteresting. Today, I would like to take a deeper dive into Ichika as a character and expose what I think makes her so brilliant. Ichika has known her friends Saki, Honami, and Shiho for most of her life. They were all friends in their childhood, and they spent a lot of time together. As children, they decided to start a band together, which was actually initially Ichika's idea. Part of Ichika's reasoning for starting the band was her interest in Miku songs. Since she was a kid, she really liked listening to them, and would often suggest that she and her friends try playing the songs. Some conversations in the present of the game reveal that Ichika was sort of the peacekeeper of the group, especially between Saki and Shiho, who would often bicker and argue because they had sort of conflicting personalities. It's said that Ichika would often jump into the middle of any disputes, even if she didn't know what was going on, and try to solve the argument or get people to calm down. In fact, as a kid, Ichika would often leap in to help people without even thinking about it. Saki recounts a time when she got stuck in a tree, and Ichika tried to help her, which led to both of them being stuck in the tree. In the opening for Leonid's main story, we see the girls view a meteor shower together. In fact, to be specific, it's the Leonid meteor shower, which they later take their band's name from. They wish on the shooting stars, all saying that they hope they could be friends forever. It's a very sweet moment that establishes right from the beginning of their story just how close these four girls are. But after the opening, we enter the rest of Leonid's main story, and we see that their wish doesn't seem to have come true. Leonid's main story starts with Ichika in high school. Honami and Shiho go to the same school as her, but all three are pretty distant from each other. All their interactions are stiff and awkward, and they no longer seem like the close friends that they once were. We eventually learn that Saki fell sick with some sort of chronic condition that is never specified, and because of her illness, she had to move to a hospital far away where she could be treated. This by itself probably put a lot of strain on the friendship between the four girls, because it's very hard to stay in touch with and keep up with someone who lives so far away when it's hard to visit them frequently. Saki's illness alone was probably pretty hard on Ichika, because it's difficult to watch someone you care about go through something so awful when you can't really do anything to help them. But in junior high, Shiho started to pull away. She distanced herself from Ichika and Honami, and even when they tried to get her to talk to them, she wouldn't tell them what was going on or why she didn't want to talk to them anymore. So by then, Ichika had pretty much lost two of her friends. The final straw came when Honami began distancing herself, behaving similarly to Shiho in withdrawing from Ichika and not explaining why. Ichika could do nothing to alleviate Saki's illness. That was completely out of her control, and then she watched her two other closest friends pull away from her, all the while she tried and tried to reach out to them, and they just never really responded to her. With her friends gone, Ichika's hope of forming or continuing the band completely fell away. She started to feel hopeless, and she just sort of drifted through day after day with no aim or goal. She took comfort in Miku songs, which acted as a sort of anchor for her and helped her remember her happy memories with her friends. But at the same time, she envied Miku for how free and flexible she seemed. This envy reveals that Ichika felt completely trapped. There was so much that she wished she could do, but she just didn't have the ability to do, or she didn't have the motivation or will to do. She felt helpless. Saki's illness was out of her control from the start, and she felt awful for being unable to help Shiho and Honami when they both needed it most. So much of her hope for the future had been centered around continuing her band with her friends, and that just all completely fell away as soon as none of them were by her side anymore. The start of Leonid's Needs main story brings a bit of a huge surprise. Saki has been discharged from the hospital, which means she's finally able to return to school. She kept it a secret from the others because she wanted it to be a surprise. Ichika is understandably shocked to see Saki's sudden return to school, but she's also relieved to see she's out of the hospital. Although she knows she should tell Saki that she's not really friends with Honami and Shiho anymore, she just can't muster up the courage to say it. She can't find the right words for it. It's likely that she's also worried telling Saki something like that right off the bat would just sour her good mood from finally being out of the hospital and returning to school. Eventually, Saki suggests she and Ichika start the band together with just the two of them. Throughout the main story, the other two eventually join them, first Shiho and then Honami. The girls have the support of Miku and Luka in the Sekai, who reassured Ichika and Saki throughout their struggles to reconnect with the other two. Even after reconnecting with her friends, Ichika still feels guilty over being unable to help Shiho and Honami in the past. In fact, this guilt really only seems to strengthen after she learns what they were both dealing with. She carries her regret through many of Leonid's event stories, with multiple occurrences reminding her of how powerless she was to do anything. In the end, though, reconnecting with her friends and forming the band was a very good thing for Ichika. She no longer feels so lonely, and she's more certain about the future. Gone are the days when she would just drift by with no aim or goal. Now she has the band and her friends, and she wants to do absolutely everything she can for them. Leonid's formation is the catalyst for a lot of change and growth that Ichika goes through. She gains much more confidence in herself through putting on street performances. Although she's very nervous at first and struggles to sing in front of so many people, she eventually gets used to it and even finds it very, very fun to do. She began doing the street performances in the first place so that she could improve her singing for the band. Through these street performances, she also befriends Minori and Kohane. While Saki heads the crafting of Leonid's music, Ichika becomes the lyricist, writing words to accompany Saki's music. When she starts out with writing lyrics, she's sort of lost and doesn't really know what to do. In the A Bright Future event, Ichika really wants her lyrics to do Saki's song justice, but she struggles with how to properly do that. In the end, Ichika realizes she was trying too hard to make her lyrics cool or new or interesting, and she settles with a more simple and direct style instead, which she's finally satisfied with. During the Live with Memories event, Ichika wants to write a song for the siblings Hanano and Yota, and she centers the lyrics around cherishing the warm and happy memories you have to carry you on into the future. Again, she struggles at first with feeling like none of the lyrics and words she writes can do the sibling situation any justice. She strives for perfection right from the outset. Part of Ichika's trouble with writing lyrics is rooted in her inability to reach her friends in the past. Because Honami and Shiho kept brushing her off and wouldn't talk to her, she kind of convinced herself that her words and voice could never reach anyone. In her mind, if she couldn't even help her closest friends, why would she ever be able to reach anyone else? Her past regrets also lead to Ichika often feeling indecisive. In the Echo My Melody event, she's trying to learn and figure out how to make her own music. While crafting a song, she happens to run into two different choices for it, and she feels paralyzed between them. She can't make a decision. She's afraid of making the wrong choice, or more accurately, she's afraid of not making the right one. Ichika feels like she wasn't able to help Honami and Shiho when they needed her. She couldn't make the right decision back then, and now that bleeds into many of the choices she's faced with, even ones that are ultimately inconsequential. Despite everything she struggles with, though, Ichika is still determined to do everything she can for Leonid. She often feels like she's not doing enough, and it's this feeling of inadequacy that leads to her trying to make her own music with the help of Miku software. She wants to stay in the band with the others, and she wants her friends to stay by her side, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that. Ichika starts the story lost, hopeless, and lonely. She really misses her childhood friends and wishes things could go back to the way they were. For her, days just drift by and blend into each other. But through reconnecting with her friends and forming Leonid, Ichika starts to find herself again. While she may have once given up when things got hard, she now instead keeps pushing. She finally has something to aim for, something to chase after, and she's no longer alone. Ichika can be an easy character to overlook and ignore. She's quiet, reserved, and subdued, which can make it really hard to notice her among a cast of other explosive and far more attention-grabbing characters. But I think it's just unfair to dismiss her character as boring and uninteresting without even taking a closer look at her. I could be biased, of course, because Ichika is my favorite in Leonid, and but easily one of my top 3 characters in the entire game. Although that is a constant fight between her, Minori, and Enna, so it's impossible to tell where any of them place at any given moment. I hope I've done a good job of shining a light on Ichika and why I love her so much. What do you think of Ichika? Have I given you a new view and perspective on her? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. That's all from me for now. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.